So, Fraser, here we are nearly at the beginning of the 25-26 season. A lot of change in Scottish football as per usual. What are you looking forward to?
I'm just looking forward to the football starting. It's always a strange year with no World Cup, and certainly not the men's Euros, although we're beginning to watch the women's Euros, so at least that's keeping me satisfied. But looking forward to the football starting, an exciting season. As you said, there's always change in Scottish football, and that change also affects our membership because many players lose their jobs, but other players come into the clubs as well from out with Scotland, so our job's to welcome them. So it's going to be an interesting season ahead. Certainly plenty of investment from a lot of the Premiership clubs this year in new players.
And most of the clubs are now back at pre-season. A quieter time maybe for the last couple of months for some clubs, but for ourselves at PFA Scotland, we continue our work right through the summer. Can you touch on maybe some of the issues that we've been dealing with since the beginning of last season and some of the things we expect to be continuing to challenge in the new season?
Yeah, I think that a lot of the work, I say it's quite often that we do, goes behind the scenes. Of course, we publicise the great work that goes on in areas of well-being and personal development, education, training as well, which are a couple of our pillars. But of course, we're a trade union, and the main purpose of us is to look after the employment rights and the welfare of our members. But most of the cases, if not all of them, we have to keep confidential. So when people say, "What is it you actually do?" you can't tell people. But sadly, there's a whole host of topics that still go. I suppose it keeps us in a job, but it's difficult to deal with sometimes. There's a term that's used across world football called mobbing, which means basically when clubs just make players train on their own. We've had cases of players being forced to train with under 15s, treated pretty badly, told they'll never play again for the club as well. So that's not allowed. It's not allowed under FIFA's jurisprudence at their disputes resolution chamber. Medical insurance is becoming a bigger and bigger topic as well, where clubs are picking and choosing who they pay for the operations for. Again, that's a contractual obligation, so as soon as that kind of thing happens, we get our lawyers involved as well. So it's multifaceted what we do, but we do have a brilliant team in here, and we've got access, our players to get access immediately to our lawyers. And we turn to our lawyers quicker than we ever have done now. It's a necessity because when there's a dispute with the club, it's very rare it gets settled internally. We have to get the lawyers involved. But the good news for our members is we have a fantastic legal team, a sports law expert, employment law experts as well, and we can turn to a whole range of lawyers that can help our players.
We're approaching a time now where we'll have more engagement with our members coming up with our club visits. We're hoping to start them earlier on in the season, and of course we visit members throughout the season, whether it be at club visits, workshops, educational things, all that sort of stuff. When we're at these visits, we do usually hear conversations around some similar issues, topics, other things that players are experiencing. Can you let us know in terms of how we can continue to develop those things?
Yeah, I think that our role often is to represent the player individually. If he's got a problem, he or she's got a problem with their employment, with their club, but also collectively as well. Football is different because it has standard contracts. The SPFL, the SFA, UEFA, FIFA, all have their own regulations that affect players' employment. So we become the collective voice as well, and we do hear topics like the winter break, the length of the contracts. Their statutory sick pay has appeared in the contracts from somewhere as well. It's raised its head a few times as well, and that's not allowed under FIFA regulations again. And the medical cases and the bullying harassment in the workplace. So things like that we can raise with the governing bodies, and we've certainly got a good relationship in the last couple of years with the SPFL and the SFA, and I think it does help that Neil Doncaster's on the European Leagues board. I'm on the board of FIFPro in Europe and the global board, so our European, if you like, international organisations are working closely together as well. So it's good for us to have that opportunity, build the relationship with Fiona McIntyre at SWPL as well. She's very open to discussing things with us. We don't agree on everything, but progress has certainly been made in all these matters. But for example, being the winter break, we had a winter break, that's now been taken away. That's difficult because it's to do with the international match calendar, it's to do with UEFA's increase in the European ties as well. But the players in sort of Championship League 1 and League 2, they've asked us, why can't we get a break? And many of them are part-time players as well, who don't get time off for 10 or 11 months during the season as well, and they're working 5 days a week. So that's the type of thing. We surveyed the players, we took the results to the SPFL, and we'll be pushing again for a winter break to be in place for maybe 26-27 season. Whether we get that or not, I don't know, but we can certainly take the players' voice and the players' opinion to the governing bodies, which is very helpful.
And you've mentioned some of those things there in terms of your work with FIFPro, engaging with players and learning more about their thoughts on some of these challenges and issues. Something at the back end of last season which raised a lot of concern and made its way into the mainstream media was, of course, fan behaviour at games and some of the dangers that poses for players at their workplace. Can you touch on a wee bit in terms of our stance on that and how we hope to develop that?
Yes, that was I think the one with Jack McKenzie was a turning point for everybody, including the clubs and the governing bodies, because it was just astonishing to see something like that happen, and it's become a build up. It's become far too commonplace. But I was asked by the Cabinet Secretary for Justice to attend a round table with other football bodies, football clubs, supporters, representatives as well. And we were able to, it was on that topic about fan violence, so I'm able to then talk about the issues that players face and always raise it. It's the workplace. And other people are now beginning to use that language, which is good, because at some point, some player is going to turn to me and say, Fraser, I was injured in my workplace, what can I do legally? So we're setting ourselves up, talking to specialist lawyers and to KC councils, to get ourselves in a position where if a player does turn to us, then we can do that. We have no wish to, and I think the governing bodies, particularly the SPFL in particular, are beginning to see football needs to be seen to be taking action as well. Nobody wants grounds closed, nobody wants fans punished, nobody wants point deductions, but we need to show our support to our members who feel they get hit by a coin, a bottle thrown at them, attacked on the pitch. Nothing seems to happen as well. So we're in a good position now with the SPFL. We've discussed it with the SPFL openly, and also now we've been able to input into the government who are looking at how best to deal with fan violence in football.
Thank you. And positive news for PFA Scotland, we've got a new staff member, started last week, Jane Ross. Of course, just ended her 19-year career with Rangers at the back end of the season there. That's a really positive point for PFA Scotland, don't you think?
Yeah, I mean, we've been involved in women's football since 2017 when the Scottish women's national team contacted us for help with negotiating a kind of agreement for them playing for the national team. We then, about 4 or 5 years ago, when the game began to turn professional, opened up our rules to allow female players to join. They're exactly the same as the male players in SWPL 1. And we've taken it step by step, and now we have Jane Ross, and her priority will be to enhance our membership, to look after our members, all aspects of the women's game, and to have Jane, who's been a brilliant member of ours, from her role at club at Rangers, but also with the women's national team as well. She was very active within their leadership group. To have somebody like that on board is fantastic. 150 caps. She walks into a dressing room, everybody will listen to her, and for us to have somebody like that on board is absolutely perfect. And we're just looking for more engagement with the female players and all the issues that are going to come up as the female game turns more professional. With 5 professional teams, the aim is to have 10 in a certain period, and that in turn creates contracts and contractual relationships, employment relationships. So the female players are going to need us more and more in the coming years. But to have Jane in place I'm absolutely delighted. Couldn't have picked a better appointment.
And lastly, we've had, as we touched on at the start, there's been a number of changes in Scottish football. What that means, as you said, players coming and going. So we've had a few players on our management committee that have came to the end of their time in Scotland. Do you have a message for them?
Yes, we're run by the management committee. I mean, Michael Devlin is the chair, so although I'm the face of PFA Scotland, ultimately all decisions are taken through the management committee, and Michael has been a terrific chair, like Liam Craig, John Rankin, Jack Ross before them. I've been very lucky to have these guys working beside me, but a couple of players have formally left. Tessel Medag, who was absolutely brilliant when she came over here. Experience of playing in other countries where professionalism was further forward, like Holland, and she played in Italy, played in England. so she knew about the unions and what roles they could play. So with us stepping into this area, she was terrific in women's football. And Jack McKenzie, who left as well and has gone down south. Jack's a very bright lad as well, and brought a kind of younger view, if you like, because all our members are young men and young women. You know, they're not 40, 50, 60, because you can only play football really to their mid-30s. So to have that view from Jack, they're both very active. Tessel was vice chair as well, so worked very closely with Michael, Joe Shaughnessy and myself in terms of strategy as well. So we will miss them, but it's great to see them going on to their new careers, and we'll watch it very closely. And I just want to thank them for their contribution, because they're volunteers, our management committee. You know, they're volunteers. They're essentially a board, but they don't get paid at all, and everything they do to support us as the staff is warmly welcomed.